Is it OK to let your children play outside in the garden, wait for it, without any clothes on?
Well, not if they're teenagers.
Naked, well, no, OK, we're talking small children, OK? In your own garden, the privacy of your own garden, summertime, running around, naked, just having a lovely time.
Right, OK, we're going to be hearing from two mums with very different views on this in just a moment, but first of all, let's speak to mum of two, Beth McKenna. And we go there, we're joining her by Skype in Newcastle. Beth, you thought there was nothing wrong with letting your two young children, and they are quite young, they're 5 and 2, I think. They were in a paddling pool, no clothes on, in the back garden. But then what happened? You got a knock on the door, didn't you?
Yeah, I have 2 policemen. I had a phone call for the welfare of my children, and I was like, eh. So they came in, and they says it was someone had phoned because the kids were naked in the back garden.
And how did that make you feel? Did you think this was a bit of a joke, or were you completely taken aback?
A joke at first, but obviously then I realised it was real, and it just made us furious. I still feel furious.
So somebody close to you, someone had been looking into your garden, spying into your garden, and they saw it as their business to say that 2 children, 5 and 2 years of age, hadn't got any bottoms on.
Yeah.
And how often, Beth, would the kids play out in the garden without any clothes on, in the paddling pool or whatever it is they're doing?
My daughter had a nappy on when it happened.
Right.
My son was in the middle of it, so...
And how has this made you feel? I mean, the police said there was nothing to answer to and they left you alone, but how has this made you feel now about letting your children play naked in the garden?
Naked now, because now I feel paranoid that there's someone watching them.
Yeah. OK, well, this is, you know...
But you don't think you did anything wrong? I mean, that's the way you...
No, I don't think there's anything with it.
No, OK, well, this is the reason why we're discussing this today, because we'd heard what happened to Beth, and joining us we have...
Thanks, Beth. We'll just say goodbye to you. I'm having a bit of difficulty with that line, but suffice it to say, that's what happened to Beth's children. The 2-year-old was wearing a nappy. She feels violated, the fact someone was looking at her children in the back garden, and the fact that someone had taken offence with this. The police said they were only doing their job.
Yeah, they actually phoned the NSPCC, and then because of that, the police had to come. Also joining us today, we've got 2 mothers who have very strong views on this subject. Mum of 4, Clare Muldoon, and mother of 3, Natalie Brown. What did you make of this, Natalie, when you heard this story?
Well, first of all, I feel so sorry for Beth. I mean, I just think this is bonkers. A back garden, it's private. By definition, it's private. What she does there, what anyone else does there, is nobody else's business. And my question is, what is the neighbour doing looking in their garden? I mean,
and to phone the NSPCC, I mean, that is about the welfare of children.
Of course, I understand that the NSPCC and other authorities, they have to follow these things up. Of course they do. But where do we draw the line? I mean, surely the time spent investigating Beth could have been better spent elsewhere.
How old are your children?
7, 4 and 2.
So, do they play naked ever?
They do, yes. We don't have a garden, we have an allotment, and the younger 2 play naked on the allotment, I mean,
and what about the other allotment holders?
I mean, it's a private place.
Yeah.
I know all the other allotment holders nearby. Nobody's ever batted an eyelid or said anything. I mean, when the sun comes out, I just think you expect to see
And
kids.
do you actually positively encourage them to run around naked, or just they naturally do that and you don't tell them to get dressed?
That's right, yeah. I mean, they're kids. They're, you know, the younger 2 are 4 and 2. I just think it's a childhood rite of passage to be able to take all your clothes off and run through the garden hose. I just think if we're, you know, it's civil policing gone nuts if we're telling people what they can do.
Claire, it's a rite of passage, it's just natural, it's what kids do.
That's not actually the issue. I mean, we have to point out as well, we don't know if it was the neighbour who called. It was an uninformed person who phoned the NSPCC, so we don't know who it was that called. But also, this isn't about parenting, this isn't about looking after your children, this is about common decency and modesty. And I don't think it's a rite of passage for children to whip their clothes off, run with gay abandon through, especially an allotment, where they could actually injure themselves in very serious conditions in very private parts as well, because you've got tools exposed, you've got wicks, canes, bamboos, you've got... and the dirt.
I'm talking about a patch of grass with a paddling pool on, which is no different
But that's
to anyone
not. Well,
else's
that's not the correlation, and that's not what people would assume an allotment to be.
But when you say decency, Claire, what do you mean by decency? I mean, they're young children. A lot of the time, they're not thinking about their bodies in any kind of sexual way.
No, I agree.
It's hot.
I agree.
Around, the sprinklers on, the paddling pool's there.
But look, we're living in a much less innocent time these days. Look what's happened with the person informing the NSPCC. People are out there. There's horrible people out there. And I think we have to protect the innocence of children. And I don't think we can protect them
when a child is young, you're actually teaching them from an early age to cover up, to have a sense of modesty and perspective.
Yes.
Rather than saying, be liberated. That's what she said.
I think at that age, at the age of the kids, Beth's children, my children, we're talking about, that's just not necessary. I mean, childhood is so short anyway, and we should just keep them as innocent, as young as possible. We don't need to be teaching them those things at that age. But they should do what comes naturally to them. And the majority of parents would say, their kids, it comes naturally. I've written about this on my blog, Crummy Mummy, and that not one person has said anything.
So what's your cut-off point then, Natalie? When would you not allow your child to rip their clothes off and be nude outside?
I don't let them do it on the beach. I don't let them do it at the communal paddling pool. Anywhere that's private, I think that's completely up to you. And a garden is fine. My parents' back garden.
So would you never, Claire, have let your kids in your own garden in the heat of the summer?
Even with... No, mine are 21, 20, 16 and 15 now. So I had them very close together.
You've what, 3 girls, 1 boy?
Yes.
Right. So how mixed was all of that at bath time and whatever?
Well, the girls were in because Tom was that much younger anyway, so he was done separately, just the way the bath times went. But when they had friends over, even for sleepovers, they had extremely good friends. The boys would put pants on, the girls would put a bath in. It was more playtime than anything.
It's completely different than a hot day with the paddling pool out,
water
involved.
It's not, because it's the same thing. You're still teaching them decency, you're still teaching them modesty from a young age, that certain things just aren't in view.
But you're not teaching them body hang-ups. You're not teaching them then your body is something to be covered up and not to be ashamed of.
But why is covering up being the synonymous with a shame? Surely you can just cover up for common decency. We need to contextualise this as well. You wouldn't expect anyone to walk into an office environment, men or women, inappropriately dressed.
But we're talking about a back garden in the summer.
No, but Natalie, there's a broader scheme here, and that's why we're here to talk about it today.
As soon as the kids get a bit older, I've got a 7-year-old, nearly 8, they get to school, all this stuff about modesty and decency and what's acceptable and what's not, it's all taught in schools. It's not something the parents...
Well, it's quite interesting. I'll just tell you a story for you. I have 4 other brothers, right? And so there's 5 of us. I've never seen I never saw a naked woman, not even at school, because when we got to 14 or so in school, they took out the booklet on biology from our Nuffield science.
You see, that just makes me roll my eyes.
So we weren't allowed to see. So, darling, I think you were probably the first woman I ever saw naked, and I tell you what that does to you. But I know I totally get what you mean. I totally get what you mean. Some people think it's natural, where I swear to you...
Your body's natural. Everyone's got one. I'm not saying it's not something to behold or whatever, but kids young, we need to start them young with everything, with virtues, with modesty, with manners, and it's not the school's point, and it's not the school's...
Well, let's hold that thought there. Virtue, modesty and manners. How important are those things? Please get in touch with us and we will share all of that with you. But Beth and Natalie, thank you. Natalie's up there, sorry. And Claire, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Thank you.